Hey folks, Kilt-Man here. Kilt-Man, out for your service. We're on a slightly askance angle there, but then again, having just seen Joker, the whole world seems like slightly off kilter, slightly stranger than it once was. I'm going to give you my first reactions to this. I have only just come out the cinema, and I did sit there wearing that. Yeah. Despite instructions that you're not meant to wear any sort of clown makeup or get up at all. What I did. Don't really want to use that word masterpiece just yet, because you can't just watch a film once and then go, hey, that's a masterpiece, the greatest film this decade, this year, this whatever. But I do want to. That film is absolute genius. The critics have completely got this wrong. They've leapt on a political bandwagon and agenda to staunch the flow of what they definitely see as an incendiary bomb, because this film could be incendiary. I do see why they think that way. Kill the rich, a groundswell movement, protests in Hong Kong, riots everywhere, Brexit looming on the horizon, British government planning for, massive civil upheaval. Yeah, the whole world is a fucking joke. As Joker will say, I thought my life was a tragedy. It's not, it's a comedy. If you saw my previous video, I pretty much outlined the plot of this. Arthur Fleck, Joaquin Phoenix, is a struggling stand-up comedian who fails every time. He's a clown, literally. He's employed by a clown agency to be a clown at children's hospitals, a clown advertising stuff outside shops on the rundown Gotham City of 1981. He looks after his mother, who has she's older and has problems. We will learn that she's had a lot more problems than we first thought. And clearly, old Arthur has got lots of problems too. Strong mental illness, obviously, it plays a huge part and has played a huge part in his life. He has this Tourette syndrome where he will laugh involuntarily and hysterically at the wrong moments. And it's a defense mechanism of his. He'll be getting beaten up and he'll be laughing his head off. He's under threat, he's under severe emotional jeopardy, and he will laugh. He'll laugh to the point where it hurts, where there's tears. You can see the pain in his eyes. Joaquin Phoenix's performance is what carries this film. He's in every single fucking scene of the movie, of the 2-hour movie. He's in every single scene. I don't think there's one scene where he's not actually in the frame at some point. Well, it's certainly going to be about him. There's even a flashback sequence which he imagines, and even though he's not in it initially, the camera will revolve and he'll be there. This is a film about desperation, despair, despondency, society's overlooked ills, literally the downtrodden, and how the rich, how the well-to-do, and how society's laws will neglect and forget people. Now, we're living in an age right now where mental illness is mentioned all the time, and I keep hearing on the radio when I wake up in the morning, there's a new thing about mental illness, a new society's been drawn up, a new charity, a new fund for people with mental illness. And the people always go, like the presenters always go, well, we've never been good at talking about mental illness, have we? It's always brushed under the carpet, and we don't like to admit it, Well, I think in this day and age, we fucking do. It's all I hear is mental illness, mental illness, mental illness. But back in 1981, the genesis of the Joker is born out of the systemic, isolation of people who have learning disabilities or emotional illnesses, mental illnesses. And how, we can't afford to pay for them. We can't afford to educate them and medicate them anymore. Just cut them loose. You're creating monsters. You're creating, the ills and evils of a society which grew them in the first place and then cut them loose. It's a very, very strong film. It is violent. There is one exceptionally brutal murder sequence in it, which you may well see coming. There are twists and turns. This film definitely hooks into the whole Batman mythology because the Waynes are in it. Thomas Wayne, Bruce Wayne's dad, Bruce Wayne's mother, Alfred Pennywise, you know, played by, what's his name? Oh, he's in so many British things. He's got a bit pudgy in the face now, but he plays like what would be a younger Alfred Pennywise, and you've got the young Bruce Wayne there. The links are there, without a doubt. The links are very definitely in there, so it will hook into the greater, Dark Knight mythology. But whether they're going to pursue this, whether Todd Phillips, who made this film, Todd Phillips of the Hangover movies, is going to actually pursue a sequel, this film's going to make money. This film's going to be trouble. It's going to be trouble for politically. It's a hot ticket. It's got agendas of its own. It's poking the finger. It is. I can see why. This whole bullshit woke attitude is taking hold with this. I can genuinely see why that's taking place. I don't agree with it. It's bullshit. The fucking film is just a film. But it's a film that has a message about, I said before, mental illness and how we overlook the people who are on the outskirts, the fringes of society. And we do so at our own peril. The film's magnificent. The performances, the tricks it pulls, the narrative rug pulling. Rob De Niro. You definitely have Taxi Driver, King of Comedy, bit of Cape Fear. You definitely also have Network. Yeah, and you'll see why. When Joaquin Phoenix goes full on Joker, I was reminded greatly of Michael Jackson, the softly spoken, very effeminate sort of Michael Jackson, a bit naive and a bit blasé about the world around him, hiding behind a mask. It's clever stuff, it's insightful stuff. Some of it's on the nose, without a doubt. It definitely, it hits all the notes you expect. With me saying what I'm saying right now, you know where we're going with this. It's dark, bleak, depressing. Everything that can happen to someone will happen to poor old Arthur Fleck. He will be beaten, downtrodden, made fun of. Everything he tries to do right will end up being thrown like pig shit back in his face. But it's pig shit that he will make a mask out of, that he will use as grease paint. And he will use that as his weapon. And it does become a movement. And you can see how strong that movement could be. Vigilantism, anti-authoritarianism, anti-rich. The film is all about that. All about that. By the way, cheers, y'all. I absolutely loved every minute of it. That weird, bizarre, cello-led soundtrack by that girl, whose name I cannot pronounce at all, apart from her first name, Hildur, is electrifying. And I mentioned about Gary Glitter, the pedo Gary Glitter being on the soundtrack. Well, the Glitter Band is in there, but there is a song he dances to on these enormous, almost Exorcist-style steps, these great big ranks of stone steps. He dances in full Joker regalia all the way down these steps, and I swear to God that's a Gary Glitter song that he's dancing to. It isn't, do you want to be in my gang? It isn't that one, though I thought it would be. It's something else, but I'm fucking certain it's Gary Glitter. Correct me if I'm wrong. But the film is genius. It's dark, it's brutal, it's nihilistic. There's a weird, perverse joy to be found in the rebellion and the revolution angle to it. There is. That's unmistakable. Once he learns to laugh beyond his own condition, to learn to laugh at the actual theatricality and the complete ridiculousness of life in general, he finds his real laugh. And funnily enough, where he laughs at all the worst possible moments throughout 3/4 of the movie, you'll see him sitting in the club where the stand-up comedians, where he emulates, he wants to be one of them. He'll sit there and he'll laugh when everyone else starts laughing, although he doesn't get the fucking joke. He doesn't get the joke. He'll sit there and he'll look around at people, are they laughing? So he'll then start to do a fake laugh and it's clever. Again, Joaquin Phoenix, Oscar nod without a doubt. Whether the Academy is going to want to take it on board, being the political hot potato that this film's going to be, remains to be seen. But his performance is electrifying, absolutely hits every note. You see this guy's descent into absolute madness, and then revelatory sort of crazed euphoria where he reaches his own level of lucidity, which is what the Joker we've always known has always been at that level. Especially Heath Ledger's. You know, does this link into Heath Ledger's? No, not really, because you don't see any genesis of the fiendish way that the Heath Ledger Joker and the Joker that we know and love and fear, the way he operates, the way he masterminds grand schemes and plans. There's no part of that in here. There are a few contrivances, shall we say, how he gets to meet Thomas Wayne, how he manages to get in there in the first place. You'll see it. What I mean, but the confrontation itself is tremendous. There are some revelations which could have an even stronger connection to the Waynes, but you know, you're left to kind of work that out for yourself whether they are true or not. And this film does have a few sequences where only after a while do you realise maybe they weren't really there at all, that his twisted mind has concocted these various scenarios and given him a few failed rays of hope, and it's so tragic. I've seen some reviews where he was saying, like, you know, well, do you sympathise with him? Well, and they're saying, well, no, you don't, because you can quite clearly, you don't want to be around him in the first place. There's something clearly wrong with this guy. Well, I don't know. There was definitely a soul worth salvaging there, and throughout 3/4 of the movie, I was with him. Just every step of the way, he gets beaten down, spat upon, and overlooked, and you know, everything gets pulled away from him. Everything he held dear is revealed to be possibly a sham. Where's he meant to go from that point onwards? Where does anybody go from that point onwards? It's genuinely affecting, and for those critics to have written it off so blandly, dressed it up in all their highfalutin fucking critique, you know, with their thesaurus sitting next to them, yes, and their pop culture references. Yes, they pretend to have grown up with Joker and Batman and the whole comic book, you know, medium, but most of them haven't. They've seen it from the films, and they just, you know, Wikipedia, oh yeah, and then they come out with their socio-political fucking jargon. They're wrong. They are wrong. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but there is definitely an agenda taking place there. Definitely a swing shift, a groundswell of critical opinion, which is trying to, you know, divert, assuage the common man from enjoying this movie and seeing it for what it really is, which could well be a clarion call to arms, maybe. I was erring on the other side of that when I did my little sort of preview last night on the previous video, where I hadn't even seen the film, but I was just basing it on what I'd heard and what I was seeing in reviews, and this ridiculous sort of highly opinionated review agenda, and I was saying, well, no, there's no causal effect been proved. They are genuinely afraid that this film will cause anti-establishment feelings, because it can, and I think it will. And you know, shit, the message it puts across is for the right reasons. You know, don't hang me because of what I'm saying, because I've just seen the film. I loved it. It disturbed me, it frightened me, it upset me. I was definitely moved to tears during one sequence, but you felt this gradual, and this descent into madness and violence, and it was inescapable. Chaos is down that road, and we are the ones who are not stopping it happen. Sorry folks, I'm getting quite serious about this, and it's not normally what Kilt-Man does, but this film is that powerful. It is. You can go in there blinkered and choose, like, oh, This is not a superhero or supervillain movie at all. There's no action. There's brutality. There's swearing. It's horrible. There's child abuse. There's all sorts of things referenced here. This is not a fun night out. It's not meant to be. This is how the Joker, the clown prince of crime, the guy who's come from such a tragic, defiled background that produces such a villain, a fiend as himself. And the thing is, we're not blameless in that. We do create monsters. Society, the media, we're all part of it. All of us are part of it. Even my words now, talking to you on YouTube, can have some effect on somebody. They might just, because it's about, iconism, what's that word? Where you hero worship. Let's go with hero worship. When you hero worship somebody and they actually turn their back on you, and you've based your life around what they've said, what they've done, how they look, and then you find they're just not what you thought, and they wouldn't even look at you twice. What effect will that have on you? It is about that. There's so many metaphors in here. I remember the film Crash. I don't mean David Cronenberg's one. I mean the one about race hatred in LA. And I reviewed it when it came out, and this was much ballyhooed, and because it got loads of accolades. I thought the scene with the cloak, the magic cloak, and the gunfire and the blanks was genius. The way it built up to that is an absolute standout, classic moment in cinema, modern cinema, which for me really reverberated. But I thought the film around it was crap. It was just non-stop contrivance and plot linking, and it was so in your face about racism and intolerance. It was so on the nose, it's ridiculous. Now, I can imagine people are going to say the same thing about this, but I didn't see it that way. I can see bits where it was a bit too blunt, but the overall narrative, the overall trajectory could not be denied. That slippery slope was set in motion before the film even starts. So these things, the victim bleeds into more trouble and trauma. They blunder around without any lifeline, without any, saviour. They're going to find another situation which they can't get out of, emotionally, financially, physically, psychologically, and this is what happens. This is the world that we've created. It is. It just is. So I'm going to sit here drinking whiskey and going, hey, I'm off work today, because I did take the day off to go and watch it. I did. I thought the film was fucking well worth it, so I thought, no, I'm going to do this. And I sit here with my, my limited edition masks and stuff, and a mask has arrived today as well. So back home at the ranch, and are we privileged? I'm skint. I'm bankrupt all the time. But you know why? Because I buy shit like that and I drink shit like this all the time. But I'm bankrupt. We don't go on holiday because we can't afford to. Sometimes I don't even eat because I can't afford to. But that's my choice. That's my choice. I still have a job, but there are people who don't get that opportunity. They haven't got a job. They live on the streets. What options do they have? How are you going to fare against an establishment which doesn't care about you? You're going to see the resentment. You are going to eventually turn against it. This is potent stuff, folks. It is. This is not comic book fare at all. On a lighter note, I love the way that the Warner Brothers logo at the start of the movie is the old vintage 70s and early 80s logo. It's brilliant, and I love the font that the titles are in. I love the soundtrack. I love De Niro's performance. I love all the supporting cast. I love the early 80s milieu, the production design, the cinematography, the colour, the lighting. Everything about it is extraordinarily warm and intoxicating in a way. It's not garish. It's not like Suicide Squad. Oh, fucking hell, we won't even mention that interpretation of the Joker at all, which is just, well, we won't mention it. Tim Burton's Batman, the Adam West Batman, and of course Christopher Nolan's Batman are the only ones that really exist. And the Joker incarnations in those are superlative. They're brilliant. Does Joaquin Phoenix's performance as the Joker defeat Heath Ledger's? No, it doesn't. He only becomes the Joker at the very end of this. So don't go expecting Jokerisms throughout. You're watching a guy on the edge, a very painfully thin, vulnerable, frail guy who only wants to make people laugh, but he doesn't have the ability to do it because he's not fucking funny. You know. There is one great line in it. Well, it's a famous joke. I won't repeat it here, and it gets a laugh for the wrong reasons. You know, and it's just it's brilliant, brilliant. But would this Joker lead into the Heath Ledger Joker? No, I don't think so. The Heath Ledger Joker is a Joker that has no origins and never should. He's a John Doe of the crime world. He's a mystery lunatic who's found a persona and can change it and shift it around at a whim. This Joker, we've seen how it's been developed. We've seen the lies that he lived under, the sham of a life that he had, the sham of the dreams he thought he had, and the hopes which were only in his own mind get snuffed in front of him and crushed. It's a powerful film, folks. Don't believe the critics. Do not believe them. They've completely misread it, and they've misread it on purpose, and that's what's annoying. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion about a movie, but I've read quite a lot of their reviews now from the tabloids and the big highfalutin fucking review sites. And no, they're towing the party line quite clearly. There is an agenda there. I'm not governed by anyone's fucking agenda. I'm Kilt-Man. I live for myself. I was profoundly moved by that movie. Profoundly moved. Need to see it again to make sure that these are my initial reactions to it. And I am hurt, upset, damaged, but massively impressed by that film. There's not many films I can say that about, but this is one of them. Guys, you've got to go and see it. Got to go and see it and make up your own minds. And please, obviously, let me know. We're bound to disagree over certain things. What I really think we will not disagree about is Joaquin Phoenix's performance, which is indelible. The Joker is held up as one of those characters which I think real actors strive to produce, to come up with their own interpretation of it. How am I going to inhabit this character and make it my own? How am I going to make that archetypal character live and breathe on screen? Jack Nicholson did it, but he played Jack Nicholson. But it's still a good performance. I still love that incarnation. Cesar Romero, still like that. Mark Hamill in the animated versions, yes, that voice and the way he's depicted is brilliant. Heath Ledger, fucking hell, Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin Phoenix already is at that level. It doesn't surpass it. It's a different take on it. It's the take beneath the surface of what Ledger came up with. And my God, it's already deeply embedded in my mind, and I'll never forget it, and I don't want to forget it, and I cannot wait to see it again. Is that recommendation enough for you? I think so. So, what is the joke then? What is the joke? You know what? Until you've seen it, you won't get it. Folks, I'm going to see you all. Who's laughing now?